So that's the main chorus guitar bed. One fun thing to do is to turn something off in the mix to see what kind of space it filled and what you're missing when it's gone. So for 0, we used this plugin because we were given DI tracks. As you can see, I tried a host of different plugins. This guy here is, that was the nameless, and we have this guy. These are amazing. Ended up having a guitar strip, if you will, that had all these guys in there, and I would, depending on the player, I would drag these around from song to song, from track to track, and depending on who played guitar, use these different guys in there. So let's have a quick exploration of what these fellas do here. This one ended up sounding like this. Not bad, but a little too controlled. Pretty cool. Not quite gainy enough, but and this one's the one that ended up winning out. So, you know, obviously you can tweak these to your heart's content, and well, you should when you play around with these things. But, you know, it does come down to who plays these tracks and who, how they're being played, and the riff, you want to accommodate the riff. Here we are with the this plugin, this PRS plugin from Waves. You can load your own IRs into this thing, which is really nice. The ones that we're using here are their own built-in ones to break things up, to change things up. On this track here, on this stereo pair, we used IRs that I actually made myself. You can see how they're quite different together, like let's do them left and right ones. And together they sound real nice and thick, and in the mix, unmistakably Static X. This guy here liven it up a little bit with just a little high end, and took out just scooped just a little bit of annoying, a little bit of that, took that out a little bit, as to not to step on some of the other stuff. We'll get into that a bit more. See all that woofiness? Took some of that out to make some room for the bass. And to compensate for taking that out, we added a little bit of low end at the very bottom. If you listen to this guitar track with this bass track, I'm just boosting this frequency that I was taking out to show you how that's stepping on the bass, and by carving this out, we're making room for the bass. can hear all those parts together without any kind of wacky buildup that doesn't do us any good and starts, clouding things in there. Versus we have a rhythm guitar. The same setting for 0 because that gives us some consistency, but because it's the verse, we added this EQ in there, dial the sound in a bit more, because this one's much more heavily edited. So it's a little thinner sounding than it would be without. It allows for the chorus to get a little bit bigger that way. Just did that by sucking out a little bit of 2K, 2500 hertz, and boosting a little bit of 150, boosting quite a bunch up high at 12K or so. We have a lot of programming that comes in and steps on guitars and vocals. Static X has always had a lot of like hi-hats flying around and some synth sounds and what have you. Some of them for effect, some of them for propelling the song forward. There's all sorts of stuff in there that oftentimes bands don't have, because oftentimes just, drums, bass, a guitar or two, and some vocals, maybe some background vocals, maybe keyboard part here and there. Or, other projects, they just really loaded up with like symphonic orchestral stuff, and whatever it is you're working with, you have to find the space, keep the song from overflowing sonically or like density-wise being too dense. So you want to make sure you retain some dynamics, you retain the whole thing can still breathe, and with that in mind, you just have to sometimes sacrifice some sonics. So how do we get all these parts to play nice with one another? This is just a hat right here, straight up mono hat, but that could just easily get lost in the mix. I could pan it to the left. Oh, where am I? That's not even the right thing I'm selling. There we go. I could pan it to the left, but then I would just play with the hi-hat that's already there. I could put it on this side, it would be opposite of it. What I decided to do was I decided to pan it with a super fast pan, 16th note pan, and so it just kind of flutters around both sides. And unlike the hi-hat from the drums, I decided this one would sound better if it's sitting a little lower, rather than fizzy on, like this stuff up here. Like, because we're already having a lot of information up there, like, all that stuff. So it's a lot, it fits in better this way. And it doesn't have to be that loud this way. Similar with this loop. Want to control some of that transient that's in there that's not necessarily that pleasant, that you probably won't hear because it's sitting right in the middle of the guitars. So we thinned it out a little bit, made it more mid-rangey, took some of that low end off, compressed the heck out of it. And all of a sudden, that thing sounds very different. And takes up much less space. And this is one of those sounds that's a little bit more subliminal. If it wasn't there, it wouldn't, that ear candy would be missed. It wouldn't be as exciting going into the chorus without that there, where you can really hear what it's doing is here. It serves its purpose there, and then the other stuff comes in to lift it up. Probably hard to make that too heard in there. There's another hi-hat. Offbeat hi-hat. Get some extra air in there, boosting that high end in there. They can all play along. So we just have that stuff fluttering around in there, getting some agitation going on, making that bridge exciting. Without it, it would still work, and that was kind of the beauty of Static X as a band. Yes, they play 2 tracks, and they always have, but they played all their instruments themselves live, and the only thing off the tracks was just like some embellishment things like this. I don't know if it ever really happened, but when the tape or the tracks went down and the band kept playing, it still sounded like a full band. And that was the beauty of Static X. Well, they're still like a powerful, great sounding band, and whatever comes off of tracks is really just more for enjoyment as opposed to, or for, you know, the excitement and candy as opposed to the whole band like lip syncing.